Welcome one, welcome all to a very, very, very full Blog on the Boys Roundtable. It is a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, which means it's time for a Roundtable on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. You can watch along live, you can watch after the fact, or you can listen on the Blog on the Boys podcast network. Make sure to check out blogontheboys.com. You will see and hear from all these people all throughout the Blog on the Boys universe. My name is RJ Ochoa, and we have a lot to get to, so we're going to fly through the names. We're going to go in clockwise order. Tony, Catalina, give us one word, everybody. It has to be different, and it has to describe the 0-1 Cowboys. Tony, go.
Depressing.
Okay, next up, Danny Phantom. Danny, what is your one word? You are muted, so great job getting this party started on the right note.
You really want me to talk?
Yeah. Well, so what's your one word?
Point of this whole thing, yeah.
My one word is. Can you go back to me?
Okay, Danny.
Again, Dan Campbell?
Have a lot to get to, but we're just going to go with Blank Space. It's a great Taylor Swift song. That's yours, Danny. Dave Sturchio joining us tonight in the top right corner. Sturch, what is your one word to describe the 2022 Dallas Cowboys?
Optimistic.
Of course it is. Next up, we have Jess Nevarez. Jess, the BTB superstar. You hear her every day on our Dallas Cowboys Daily podcast. Also on DallasCowboys.com's Girls Talk, Boys Talk. That's a lot of words. Jess, what is your one word?
Aggravating.
Oh, Johnny Boy RN says frustrating in the chat. Next up, Brandon Clements. Brandon, what is your one word? It cannot be Ethernet, which may be the internet connection you have to go for certain things in your life.
Yeah. Defense. That's my word. Okay.
Kevin says disgusted. AJ's one word is Jess. I don't know if that's his word or like just saying hi. Burn 1686 says pissed. I have not seen the latest House of the Dragon, but Burn's avatar is that here on YouTube. Howman, what is your one word?
Sad.
Okay. And LP Cruz joining us for the first time, one of our newer writers here at Blog on the Boys, the latest arrival to the roundtable. Thankfully, we don't award negative points for tardiness, LP. What is your one word?
Uninspiring.
I'm going to say that LP wins. That was, I think, the longest word that anybody had to offer. Dan, you lose for obvious reasons. So not a great way to start things off. I don't know if Sturch is talking to somebody behind the camera.
No, I'm trying to see how many letters are in optimistic, but I think I failed.
You can't beat me in Scrabble, man. Scrabble champion. You're not winning that one. Sorry.
Okay, so we've all kind of said and done the same sort of things. Everybody's pissed. Everybody's mad. We get it. We're all bummed that Dak Prescott's hurt. Nobody thinks the Cowboys are going to beat the Bengals on Sunday, except for maybe Dave Sturchio over at Chop Sports. So make sure you check out his daily show where he will give you his reasons why. We're going to do a little bit of a different thing. LP, you're new around here. The roundtables are a bit of a game. It's an objective game. All the points are handed out in an objective fashion. At the end, there is a roundtable winner. If memory serves, I believe Tony, you have won a roundtable. Howman, you have won a roundtable. And Jess, you have won a roundtable. Brandon, Sturch, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, you are all losers, right?
In so many words?
Right. Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Well, so we've got, more than half of the group here. I'm obviously independent, has not won a roundtable. So LP, maybe you show up and you never know what happens. But normally, LP, since you haven't been here before, our Twitter handles are on the screen. And there are a lot of us here, so we've removed them. But today is all about Twitter. We're going to kind of roll through the latest Dallas Cowboys topics through the lens of a game that we are going to call Who Tweeted That? All right. I have gone through and I'm really emotional about this. I have found a tweet from each of you that you have had at some point since the Cowboys lost or were in the process of losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or since Dak Prescott was hurt, something to help kind of springboard a topic or a question. So I'm going to read a tweet. I'm going to put it on the screen, and I would like for somebody to guess who tweeted it. Obviously, you're going to know. I would hope that your short-term memory is not that bad, that you have forgotten who tweeted it. I can verify who tweeted these things, but we're going to go through and we're going to kind of talk about a few different things. So is everybody ready? Everybody understand the rules?
Yeah.
Do you want us not to react? Like, if you know it's yours, don't react.
If it's your tweet, be cool. Like we're playing a game here. There's a winner. I mean, so there will be some, I know the Emmys were last night, you know what I mean? Like we got, or Sunday night, whatever it was. So there is a bit of poker face going on here. Let other people kind of react and stew on your tweet. And if you correctly guess who somebody else's tweet was, maybe some extra points involved here. But I don't know if you all follow each other. I don't mean to make this awkward. Maybe you saw somebody's tweet. So if you did, let's go honor system, people. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be like, oh, I know that so-and-so tweeted this if you saw it. So are we all ready? Are we all good?
Yep.
All right, Jess, you like I was saying, you covered your face. Are you nervous?
You know what? When game time's on, I'm very unforgiving on Twitter. So I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. If it's an embarrassing tweet, I really get into it, especially when being there. That was rough. That was rough. Everybody, cut me some slack.
All right. Okay. I will say I will not award negative points if you incorrectly guess who tweeted it. I would like to encourage some guessing here. Yeah, just let's go. First one up, Cowboys owner / GM / team doctor. By the way, I've had to shorten some of these tweets. You all like a lot of words, and we had to kind of get creative here. But this initially said Jerry Jones is optimistic that Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, and Travis Frederick should all return to action soon. And there is no reason to worry, so please continue to buy tickets. Does anybody have any idea who tweeted this? Sturch, your hand is raised.
I want to say this is a Howman tweet.
Okay, so your guess is Howman. Jess, you also raised your hand.
I was going to say it's a Sturch tweet.
Okay, so Tony.
I think it's Mr. Phantom.
You think it's Mr. Phantom. Brandon, you agree it's Danny Phantom. Howman, do you have a guess?
I'm going to guess LP.
Okay, LP, you're new to Blogging the Boys, so it's actually a really difficult game for you specifically.
I'll get it, don't worry.
But who do you, and we actually don't have the names on the screen. I know you're also new to identifying us all in a visual sense, so I've made this super challenging for you, LP. My apologies early on. Who tweeted this in your estimation?
Well, first off, thanks for the hazing. I appreciate that. I'm going to say Phantom.
Okay, would the person who tweeted this reveal themselves? There's a little bit of Masked Singer going on here. Danny Phantom, the camera's not too wide. There's a lot of us in the room. You got to put your hand right in front of the camera. Danny Phantom, you tweeted this. Everybody follow Danny on Twitter at Danny Phantom 24. It is inspired by the old Nickelodeon cartoon. Danny, what was the thought process here? Jerry Jones hit the radio airwaves of 105.3 The Fan on Tuesday, said the Cowboys were not going to be putting Dak Prescott on injured reserve. Jerry is trying hard, seemingly, to sell things. A lot of people accuse the Joneses of only caring about money. They had the highest rated season opener on NBC since 2015, a game which also featured the Dallas Cowboys, by the way. Shout out to Tony Romo and Lance Dunbar and Jason Witten with the game winner. And shout out to Sturch. Is that your vibe, Danny?
First off, I want to say that anybody who follows me or reads my tweets needs to understand that I'm probably not being serious. So I want to just kind of get that out there first off.
Look, it's hard. It's hard for me to tell who's feeling what. All right, guys, this was a game I made up. All right, how about some shout outs to RJ for the fun times we're about to have.
This is a great game. I love it.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Good. 10 points for Brandon. All right, go
ahead. I think that it's important to just really basically just not stop listening to him. I mean, just whatever he says. All the false hope that he gives us. I mean, we should know by now not to take the cheese. So I don't know. I just think it's important to just kind of remind how silly it is to listen to Jerry Jones. And I try to progressively make my information more ridiculous so people realize by the end that this is not real. But so just stop listening to Jerry Jones. He's not a doctor.
Tony, you were the first person to guess Danny. Johnny Boy says in the chat that it was a clownish interview. Again, talking about Jerry's appearance today. We're doing this on Tuesday. Do you feel like we've reached the point where these, and shout out to The Fan. They do a great job of interviewing him. They're the home of the Dallas Cowboys. But do you feel like these are really unproductive? And in fact, they only kind of serve to generate negative attention for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think anytime Jerry and Steven talk now, it just met with a little bit of disgust, right? I think nobody really believes what they're saying anymore. It's just smoke. And, I think that it'll never happen. I know this will never happen, but I think the team as a whole will be better served if they just took a step back and just, let the football talk and do a thing. And, if you're going to be a GM, I don't know how many GMs literally meet with radio stations every single week, and they're giving us doctor, like you said, like Danny said, like doctor prognosis, and he knows about Dax. He must have did the surgery because he knows how the hand's healing and stuff. So, I think this is better served if they just, be quiet for a little bit.
Howman, do you buy what Jerry is trying to sell here, and that Dak Prescott can return within a 4-week span, which is why they are not placing him on injured reserve? Or do you fall into what some people would say is the pessimistic category, that the Cowboys are just trying to keep hope alive, that they don't want to put a huge dampen on the season by putting him on IR at this moment in time?
Well, I definitely believe that he's going to return within that shorter window that they have, but I don't think that's what the doctors are recommending. I think that this is a case of them trying to rush him back because they're trying to keep the season alive. And I think what we know about Dak Prescott as a competitor, he wants to get out there as soon as possible. He probably doesn't want to miss any time at all. So he's probably on board with that. But I think it's going to be kind of similar to the Carolina Panthers game with Tony Romo, when he kind of rushed back and just
his
had
last
a horrible
start.
game.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, and he got hurt right away again in that game, and he wasn't playing well before it. So I think we're seeing that play out all over again, and it's only going to result in more heartbreak.
Sturch, I saw you had a quote tweet about this news, and you were, I don't want to say excited, but you were a little bit positive. Do you buy this? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's a good idea? Are you willing to kind of trust it at this point? By the way, Frederick says, great job, Jess, on Girls Talk Boys Talk on DallasCowboys.com. Sturch.
I mean, I'm not buying the prognosis. I'm buying the fact that, like, unfortunately, we're all going to have to, like, concede that the Joneses are going to try to push for this to happen. They push a lot of buttons there. It's not Mike McCarthy's team like everybody might think. You know what I mean? Like, this is Jerry saying, look, the minute this guy can grip a football, you better put him out there because your butt's on the line too. And you would have to assume Mike McCarthy's thinking that too. Like, I don't know. Like, is a Cooper Rush better than a banged up Dak right now? I don't know. At this point, I don't know after last week.
Well, that was a great first tweet. So shout out to you, Danny Phantom. Again, the procedure of you like answering that it was yourself was really off. So you were kind of the guinea pig in that sense. So thank you for falling on that sword for us, Danny. Let's move on. Next one. This one was tweeted during the Cowboys' loss to the Buccaneers. Not a lot of positives, obviously, to take away. A pretty short list, but the tweet literally reads, another positive, so seemingly implying there were multiple, out of tonight's game, Dalton Schultz. Does anybody have a guess? Tony, you got the last one right, so don't guess here. Anybody have a guess? Brandon, your hand is raised.
Howman.
You think it's Howman? Sturch? Howman, do you have a guess?
I'm gonna go with Jess.
It's not Howman. It is Jess. Congratulations. Follow Jess on Twitter at Jess Nevarez _. Jess, what were the positives? You are a pretty bright, shiny, sunshiny person. What were they? What were the non-Dalton Schultz positives?
Here's the thing. So as far as Dalton Schultz, I've talked about this really all week being Monday and Tuesday. Dalton tweeted this. No. Here's the thing. You look back at Dalton Schultz's career so far, and you never really expected anything from him, right? You didn't even think he'd make the 53 back then. But for the fact that he had to become the clutch guy for Dak during this game, and he was probably the most clutch guy for Dak during this game, says a whole lot. And you really can't knock him because that wasn't even his position to do that. That was the wide receiver group that really was supposed to be clutch for Dak in all aspects, and we know they weren't. So for Dalton Schultz to go out there, have himself a game, be the most clutch player, I had to give him a little bit positive ray of light here because he deserved it. There wasn't very many positives going out of this game. And so, yeah, Dalton Schultz, I think, stepped up, and I loved his quote after the game of stepping into the storm. And I don't know. I think he's showing he's on his franchise tag. He wants his contract, and that's really all I could have asked from Dalton Schultz. As for the rest of the offense, I'm gonna stay quiet now because I don't really have anything nice to say.
A reminder that everybody can listen to the Blog and the Boys Roundtable on the Blog and the Boys podcast network, where you can hear a lot of these voices. We had a new show drop earlier today. Johnny Boy RN says, Jess, that you and Brandon, not Brandon Clements, but Brandon Laurie, knocked it out on the first episode of the Writer's Block. Everybody can listen to that there. LP, what are the non-Dalton Schultz offensive positives for the Dallas Cowboys out of Sunday night?
In my opinion, I thought it was Tyler Smith.
Okay, all right.
To a big spot. And I know that the tape is out, so he's going to be probably overly criticized or overly assessed. But what you expect, a guy being dropped out of nowhere to left tackle at a spot that he struggled with penalties, to hold him as well as he did against some good pass rushers, Tryon Shoyinka, also against Shaq Barrett. I thought he played pretty well. And I think it's a positive, but it may create a cloud of what do you do with Jason Peters. But I think it's a great first start and a great impression for a guy that there's a lot of pressure on already.
Kevin has awarded you 5 points, LP. A reminder that the crowd can award points. We've already seen that so far tonight. So Kevin, good job handing those out. Danny, you are generally a pretty positive Cowboys fan, which is why the kind of, sarcastic tweet earlier was kind of, that was me throwing a curveball early on. Shout out to me. But Danny, do you agree that, Tyler Smith, that is kind of like, if there's one thing you can feel great about, it's maybe the Cowboys really did, find another stud in the first round this year.
First off, I just want to say that I think that Jess was trying to ensure that she would not get blocked on Twitter by Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz is a blocker. That's a great point.
And I love Schultz. He's great. I'm not sure what that little twirl that he did there on that one play that was a little bit weird. But I want to say too, because I've been Tyler Smith's worst critic. I've been saying a lot of things about him. As far as just where I think he's at, and then them throwing them out left tackle. I thought he was great. I mean, you could definitely see that this is a first round tackle, and so that made me feel really good. And I will just also trickle down the line. I thought McGovern, in what little action he saw, played well. And Biadish, I mean, I really thought that for me, who was completely just stricken in fear by the offensive line situation, I felt a lot better about that. So that's one thing that I take out of this game, is that I don't think the offensive line is going to crush our season.
That's true. It's just literally everything else. Right. Okay. Great job. Okay. So Dan, LP, Dan, you both shouted out Tyler Smith. We got a shout out for Connor McGovern. We got a shout out for Tyler Biadish. We also, don't have to shout out Zach Martin. That's kind of implied. So that being said, Jess, thank you for the tweet. Jess is on Twitter at Jess Nevarez _. Next one up in our game. This was a little bit of a complicated thing, so the person who tweeted it will ultimately have to explain it a little bit. But the tweet reads, "Am I wrong for reading this as Terrence Steele's job is not secure?" I will say this had to do with Jerry's interview on The Fan on Tuesday. He was, I'll just explain, hyping up or talking about Jason Peters. He mentioned he could play both sides. Jerry did about Jason Peters, which again would infer that maybe the Cowboys, to your point, Dan and LP, are considering keeping Tyler Smith at left tackle, kicking Jason over to the right side, which would mean a demotion for Terrence Steele. So does anybody have a guess who tweeted this? LP, you're raising your hand. Again, we're the honor system, people. Let's all be cool.
Tony?
All right. Danny, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I don't know who tweeted it, but I have a guess.
That's literally the question, so thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Because I disagree with it so much, I'm gonna pick on my buddy Howman. I think it sounds like it has a little negative twist to it, where I could
Howman, you are a popular guess. It is not. I'll say it's not Howman. Howman, who do you think tweeted this?
I'm going to go with the honor system because I actually saw this tweet, so I will.
Okay, so you'll abstain. Let's just go there. Brandon, who do you think tweeted this?
I'll just say Sturch.
And Sturch, I did see you raise your hand. Who tweeted this?
This is a Tony tweet.
Jess.
Tony 100%.
And I didn't see
Tony
it.
is on Twitter at Tony _ Catalina. The Wine Mixer is an event that he and his wife sponsor. You can check that out every summer over on the West Coast. But Tony, explain yourself. Do you think Terrence Steele's job should be in jeopardy? And how do you feel about Dan, so vehemently disagreeing with you and then pinning that blame on Howman?
I think when we have Jerry Jones speak as much as he does, you kind of learn to try to read through the tea leaves a little bit. And he went out of his way, like he does most of the time, to say too much. I think in this situation, when they were talking about Jason Peters and Tyler Smith, and he made sure to throw in that Jason Peters we have that flexibility up front. He has the ability to play both tackle spots, is what Jerry Jones said. So it's like, why would you say that if everybody in the world is under the impression that he got brought in to play left tackle so Tyler Smith can kick inside? And we sit here and know that Terrence Steele had 4 penalties. And then we also know that Kellen Moore made that an emphasis, didn't say him by name, but in his availability with the media also said, if you can't stop the pre-snap penalties, we're going to stop them for you. So I took all that, understanding, maybe that may not be direct, but it may be a wake-up call to Terrence Steele that, listen, even though he's the guy that's supposed to take La'el Collins' job here, if they get some people that can get the job done and Terrence Steele can't nip this penalty stuff in the bud, I think everybody's on notice right now.
Oh, shout out to rookie move RJ Ochoa for muting himself. Go ahead.
Sturch, I was sipping some Diet Coke, so I mean, I was really actually being polite. So shout out to me for being polite. Sturch, I actually was talking to you. I don't know if you could tell by like the way I was, moving my mouth or whatever.
Scowl on
If
your
you could, it's really creepy. But how do you feel about this? Do you give the Cowboys credit for saying, you know what, Tyler Smith played well, let's be open to all options? Or do you feel like, dude, quit overreacting? It was one game. You're about to have Cooper Rush back there. You need Jason Peters to play left tackle. Let's quit messing around, especially Connor McGovern's hurt now. You got to kick Tyler Smith inside. DeLunatic noted in the chat that if you're playing this way with Tyler Smith and Jason Peters as your tackles, now all of a sudden Matt Farniok is a starter on your line.
I think honestly, if you want to take into what they said at the end of last year about cleaning up the penalties, right? If you want to take that serious, then yeah, making Terrence Steele's job up for grabs. If he doesn't knock this crap off, then that's a thing I can actually buy into. Again, maybe this is just kind of lighting a fire under him a little bit. Just like, hey man, look, we told you about this. You did it anyway. Like, we do have other guys on this roster that are more than capable of taking your spot. And maybe that's what they're doing. I mean, do I buy into that they would bench Terrence Steele right now? No, but maybe a little motivation wouldn't hurt anybody.
Howman, the Cowboys have taken every opportunity to this point to praise Terrence Steele. He's sort of like the poster child for the McCarthy, Joe Philbin era in a lot of senses. Terrence Steele, you could argue, is the reason or the justification to some degree in moving on from Lyle Collins, in pinning so many hopes on Josh Ball. Would benching him not be some sort of acknowledgement that their process as a whole is flawed? Or is it, am I reading way too much into that?
I mean, I think it definitely would be an indictment of that process, especially because, I agree with what Tony was saying about the comments that Jerry made, the comments that Kellen made, potentially signaling something of a problem for Terrence Steele. But at the same time, they just spent this whole offseason. They got rid of Lyle Collins. They didn't bring in a really experienced swing tackle or any sort of competition.
They still haven't to this point, by the way.
Still haven't.
Right.
Although Jason Peters is ramping up, don't worry. But they just anointed him before he even really had a chance to actually claim that starting right tackle job. And after one game, I don't see them actually moving on. I feel like this was more of sort of sending a message to Terrence Steele of like, you got to get your act together, which I do think that, in fairness, he will end up doing, because he has not been a heavily penalized player, especially with false starts through his first 2 years in his career. So it was a little bit of an aberration for him on Sunday. I think he'll probably get back to the kind of play that we've seen from him.
I just want to remind everyone, because I didn't early on, that Tony actually has access to the banners I've created here. So if he is getting a lot of these right, everybody, just
wow.
Just
talk about honor system.
I know. I thought we were going by the honor system.
I forgot about that until right now. So, I mean, Tony, do you want to admit that you looked early, or are you going to tell us that you actually guessed correctly?
No, I mean, I think me and Danny been teammates for about a year and a half now. I think I know his tweets, so that's the only one I put my name on.
Bannergate 2022.
I like that.
Negative points for RJ.
Brandon, who should be the Dallas Cowboys starting left tackle?
Well, to me, it comes down to who do you want more at left guard? Do you want Tyler Smith or do you want Matt Farniok?
Then who's your five?
I go with when Peters is ready, you put Peters at left tackle, you put Tyler Smith at left guard, you keep Bediash at center, you have right guard, obviously Zach Martin, and then you keep Terrence Steele at right tackle. That's where it goes. I like Matt Farniok as a backup guard, but I do not want to see him starting. Not at this point.
Danny, you had a problem with this tweet, especially when you thought it was Howman's. Again, Howman, you're catching a lot of residuals here. So are you a big fan of Terrence Steele then, in that sense, Danny?
Oh yeah, I mean, still. So yeah, he had a bad game with penalties, but if you actually look at the tape, he played like Terrence Steele. So I have no issues. I mean, that's silly to be thinking about, removing him from the mix. And also, too, if you watch closely, I mean, the guy false starts every snap. He's so quick off the snap. But now, granted, this was a little bit more of a flinchy sort of thing going on there, so that's not the typical false start we give her. But I am not worried. And plus, to quote our great coach, Mike McCarthy, what am I going to do? Bench him? I mean, you're not. I mean, he's going to play. I mean, so Still's fine. But I want to get in on this question too, because and this is weird for me to say.
It was you had an invitation to get in on the question. What do you mean you want to?
Well,
You're in the process of it.
I want to get it on the Jason Peters thing too, because I mean, I would tell you, yeah, get Peters out there as soon as you can. If you asked me a week ago, but now I'm kind of like, I don't know, because I really liked what I saw from Tyler Smith. I will say this too, and everybody has said it already. Farniok was struggling, so and we might have to out of need to get play Tyler Smith, at left guard. But yeah, I mean, I just want to say that Smith, if it wasn't for the injury, I think that he would probably not let go of that left tackle spot, and it's weird to say that.
Jess, you raised your hand politely.
Are we talking about the Terrence Steele that had all of those penalties? Are we talking about the same person here? Because what is the most frustrating thing for me is the momentum killing that he did 3 times in a row, not just 1, not just 2, but 3. To me, that is unacceptable discipline. And I think, not at that point did the Cowboys really have a chance for making up for what they had already lost throughout the game. But that doesn't help. When you have one single player sitting there giving you 3 penalties in a row, to me, it says there's an issue with discipline. And he acknowledged it after the game and saying, yeah, I can't do that. Okay, but nobody should be doing that. Those penalties literally put the knife in the wound, dug it in deeper, added some salt, and said, hey, let's make it worse than what it already was. So for me, I'm not happy with Terrence Steele this week. He has a lot to prove as far as the discipline aspect goes, because I know we are not talking about the same guy that gave us 3 penalties in a row. AT&T Stadium erupted in booing at that point. By the way, I would just like to point that out. That was not okay. And for me, I was actually really surprised to see that he was still playing after 3 penalties in a row. And something I'm going to end up being notorious for here is I'm going to remind y'all of a number. That's 127. That's the amount of penalties the Cowboys got last year. And on the road we are on right now, I really don't want to go to 128. So penalties are a really big thing for me right now, as most Cowboys Nation. So I know we're not talking about that same Terrence Steele, guys. I know we're not.
There's a lot there.
You're talking drive killers. I thought you were talking about Kellen Moore. But
first of all, I would like to know what city 127 is the area code for. If you could find that out, Jess. I'm curious about that now that you said it.
Let me Google that. I got you.
So Sturch, Brandon, you both raised your hands again. Politeness is something that we reward here. Kevin gave Jess 5 points. Sturch, I don't know if this lines up with what you wanted to speak about, but Kevin says that we said bye-bye to Connor Williams over this stuff. The Cowboys did make it a point to move, or to at least not bring back Connor Williams and kind of paint him out to be the villainous penalty machine, and had a nice opening game for the Miami Dolphins. But what is your thought?
My thought is right now he's the best right tackle you have on the roster. So that you can't, look, the penalties absolutely suck. They are killers. I would almost, and this is going to sound a little ridiculous, but if I had to choose one thing, I would choose his penalties over Kellen Moore's trick plays when we're on a roll. So I would choose those as drive killers more than I would choose Terrence Steele. At least when Terrence Steele has his pre-snap penalties, it's just a discipline thing. You're being a putz for a second. You'll fix it. You'll correct it. Kellen Moore has been infamous for all this stuff. So I'm not putting all the blame on Terrence Steele here. I can't.
By the way, Jess, you let us know Massachusetts is where 127 is. Tony, negative 5 points for you, Tony, because you are from that area and you didn't tell us. So,
508. I'm the 508. I'm not.
Again, Tony, your time has passed. This was your tweet, though. Brandon, final one on this tweet.
Yeah, Jess, I just gotta follow up what you were saying. So you're telling me you would rather have Farniok in the starting 5 over Terrence Steele at this point?
Farniok didn't give me 3 penalties in a row during this first game. So
right.
I'm talking for this game specifically. Going forward, I don't think I've seen enough to say at this point, because really, can we base the projection of the rest of the season based on what we saw in this first game all the way? No. To a certain extent, maybe, but give me a couple more games and I'll answer your question. But as of right now, Farniok did not give me 3 penalties in a row.
That was a great tweet, inspired, of course, on Twitter at Tony_Catalina. Great job. We are playing a game here for the live audience that joined us late. Who tweeted that? So next one up. I don't think it's a secret that Cowboys fans are pissed. This is, I think, would we all agree this is among the most volatile the Cowboys fan base has been at least since we all got into blog, internet, media, culture.
Since January, RJ.
Well, like, I mean, no, but like, I mean, this is pretty up there. Like, it's hard to think of a time where the Heat was this hot. And so there is this debate swirling around, and it kind of tends to happen when times are bad. Hey, you got to support your team no matter what. Like, who the coaches know what they're doing. Trust them. Kellen Moore's perfect. Shut up, Sturch. Or there's this perspective of like, hey, look, I buy tickets, I buy jerseys, I have the right. I'm a fan. I want to see this team win. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to call it like I see it. So this tweet says, for the Cowboys, I've skipped dates, cut class, faked sick. One of you actually tweeted this from work, dodged a whooping past bedtime. That's as real as it gets. And I can still say this front office is waste management. So, Brandon, you looked taken aback. Who do you think tweeted this?
I mean, it sounds like Sturch. I don't know, man. It sounds like
this would never be a Sturch tweet.
That would imply I had dates too. So,
he looks like a kid that was getting a lot of whoopings. So, that's why I would.
Jess, you were cracking up. Who tweeted this?
That has to be Sturch. Come on.
Donnie Boy RN
Sturch.
Sturch
even when he denies it still gets Sturch.
Right.
Howman, do you have? Nobody guessed Howman. Howman, you've been the popular guest. Do you have a tweet or a guess? Sorry.
I'm just because everybody keeps guessing Sturch. I'm gonna go with LP.
It was LP, our newest member at Blogging the Boys on Twitter.
Guess.
At
LP, you were my
SDQ
second
Flight
guess.
Crew. LP, there are 2 SDQ Flight Crews. I don't know if you know that or not. We can figure that out on Twitter. But explain yourself first of all.
So, I mean, that came from years of being a fan. Like, I've been a fan since I was like 6. So, to people that don't know me, I'm in the DC area. So, I grew up like before we had NFL ticket. So, to catch the Cowboys game, you had to really be there to catch it. There was no like replay. I didn't have cable as a kid. So, if they were on local, I'm watching that game. So, this is like blood, sweat, and tears. Me being a kid, not going to college classes. Hey, let's link up. I'll skip that one. Or, I remember vividly like skipping work to watch T.O. play the Eagles. So I've been a fan through thick and thin. And even being a kid, skipping bedtime, like this is my team. So whether or not you feel like they can do no wrong, no, they've done me wrong personally.
Do you feel that way, LP? Like, do you feel wrong? Do you feel like the love or the attention or whatever you want to call it is not reciprocated right now? Do you fall more in line, not to divide the like thoughts, but more in line with they don't care, they're doing this poorly, they just only care about ratings, whatever? Like, are you more that side than you are? No, they have a plan and they're just working on it and you have to trust it.
What is the plan? So, and I've said this though, and look, if I'm speaking for the fan that's pissed off, then hey, by all means. But I said this and I believe this and I will maintain in my heart. This team punted this game way back during the draft, way back after trading Amari and knowing that Gallup was not going to play. They knew that. They knew it. So they set us up as fans. They pumped like RJ, everybody, like America. They sat there.
Just America. Like no respect for the rest of the world. Respect.
No, I mean, I'm in my Bernie Mac right now. America. I'm telling all you guys. They sat there knowing what was going to happen, and they sabotaged that game. Jerry sat there on the dais with Stephen A. Smith promoting this game, promoting this experience to us, knowing good and well we were not trying to win this game. I was not going to replace Michael Gallup. I was not going to go out and get a receiver. I'm not going to get a Jarvis Landry who scored twice on Sunday, I believe. I wasn't trying to do any of that. I'm good. I got James Washington for a discount. The discount dudes. So to be honest with you, yeah, I'm upset. And I don't trust them. So all this that you talked about earlier at the kickoff, they're pumping sunshine. Dak is hurt. Dak is legit hurt. We know he's hurt. But you saw the tickets for the Bengals game, right? Those tickets they're available, aren't they?
They're down.
$35, and you ain't getting it from me. So there's that.
Sturch, you were accused of writing this tweet by really America, I guess. So, how do you feel?
I'll back this up. Okay. I've also skipped out on major things. A date, I mean, it depends on the girl. I cut class. Cut class. It wouldn't make sense. They play on Sundays and Mondays, so that never really applied.
There's Thursdays. They're Thursday games.
Fine. Faked sick from work. I would say I told one of my bosses one time I had to go to court on a Sunday, and nobody believed me
but
because
the
courts
idea of
aren't open
school on a
Sunday.
Sunday is now impossible to believe. Interesting.
Nah, there's no and I didn't dodge any ass kickings, but I will say LP is like he right there, like that whole thing he just said earns a whole lot of I've known him since Twitter, like the Twitterverse and stuff, and I've seen what he's had to say. But right there, like signifies to me, he's just become instantly one of my favorite people on the internet. So that's well done. 1,000 points to you, bro.
Thanks. Sir.
Danny, you are a really positive Cowboys fan. Like you have extended them the benefit of the doubt in a lot of ways that a lot of people wouldn't and haven't. That being said, do you agree with this consensus that they have? I mean, I will say this, like, even if you don't agree, Danny, I cannot think of a time, and I'm not trying to just like live through the prism of a Cowboys fan, where the broadcast openly dragged them. Like that was surreal that Chris Collinsworth was openly chastising and questioning Jess. I know you were at the game, but like literally calling out their team building philosophy. I mean, kind of, thumbing their, his nose at them and almost mocking them. I mean, it does kind of feel like it's them against the world, and they're the only ones who realize that they don't have this right, Dan.
Well, thanks for setting me up to basically there's no way for me to answer this question without agreeing. But guess what? I'm going to. Because I am the optimistic guy. So listen here. One thing that I think that a lot of people are doing, and we all have to remind ourselves, it's okay to react to week one, but we definitely do not want to overreact. And I want to point out a couple things. I want to point out that first off, the Bucs are a really good team, and the Bucs are a team that blocked really well. And the way that their offense, the guards were pulling and they're getting hats on hats. I really think they played a really good game. And our defense played above average to me. Not great, but above average. So I want to say that there's part of this. It's like, this is just a week one matchup that we didn't play well. A quarterback got hurt, which makes us really sad. But I really think that, and I feel like this whole show is going to just completely overlook this. We have to talk about the terrible play of Dak Prescott. I mean,
that's a fair point.
I mean, if Prescott would have played more to his level, this could have been different. So, I mean, and he just had one of his worst games that he's ever had in his career. He was really bad. So, I mean, there's a lot of people we can blame too, but if your quarterback's going to go out there and play like that, you're not going to win any games, and you're not going to score any touchdowns, and that's exactly what happened. So I would say that I'm not freaking out. I'm not the sky is falling, I think we're done sort of thing. But I do think that we just had a very bad game, and I think it's really tough to say just how not good this team is based on just this one game.
Danny, what I would say to your point is they built the team so that Dak had to be flawless. You're right. Dak played poorly, and that should be said.
He flawless. He just has to be
does. I mean,
better.
Like Dak has to thread things through triple. Tom Brady has Julio Jones in addition to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who's in the fold. And Tom Brady, wants receivers. The Buccaneers go out and get them. And actually, something that, to your point, Danny, I don't think we've said even once. Dak Prescott was kind of the dude who gave the seal of approval to Jalen Tolbert, right? And the Cowboys went and drafted Jalen Tolbert. He was a healthy scratch on Sunday. I mean, so there is some blame to lay at the feet of Dak Prescott, but I think there's enough blame to go around. There's enough pie to go around, so to speak. Tony, you sounded pretty dejected on 1st and 10 with Sturch and Aiden. Do you agree with LP? Do you agree with Danny? Not that these are opposing ideas. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel scorned or unappreciated as a fan? You actually have said somewhat beautifully that you get chills, like you'll be driving and you'll imagine the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl and kind of tear up. And that moment feels so far away if it is ever going to happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think when we recorded the 1st and 10 podcast, it was like 1 a.m. After
in the 127. It was 1 a.m. in the 127 to be
in the 508. Excuse me. So, but yeah, in that situation, Dak, you don't know what his injury situation is. We know it's not good. The things are starting to trickle out. Yeah, you're tired because you're drained. You know how these Cowboys games are. We all kind of emotionally invest into this, and then when the game doesn't look good and it goes the way it does, you're dejected. I think that's the perfect word for it, and I really do feel like LP does. I've skipped out on work. I've skipped out on parties. Like, that's how it feels.
Parties, big time brag by Tony Catalina over here.
Listen, yeah, pool parties. But so you sit there and you don't you don't think the team like owes you anything, but you almost feel like it does. Like you give so much to this team and you put so much time and effort and emphasis. It's like, and to me, I've had this conversation. LP knows we're in a group chat together. I'm fighting him like at some point, like the loyalty stuff, I think we've earned our stripes, right? I think everybody here is had their case of I skipped on this and and I've sacrificed that, and you just don't feel like this team is rewarding you back for that. And it's a tough situation to sit here and to be upset, but that's exactly how you should feel right now.
Wow. You need to skip out on your pity parties because you guys are depressing me.
You know what, Dan? I was gonna say, like,
spicy.
I'm not in this group chat. That's all I'm saying. Like now I feel excluded. I mean, so apparently LP, Tony, they got some good things going on here. They don't want to include us. Whatever. Maybe next time the other 6 of us have a game. That's all I'll say. Brandon, you are the only one here wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey for the podcast audience. Do you feel unappreciated as a fan in this moment?
I mean, yes, of course I do. I mean, just like everybody else, I've definitely missed events, parties, things like that for Cowboys games, and to come up disappointed. I mean, I will give my wife a little bit of credit. We were watching Tony Power get drafted back a few years ago while she was in labor, so she let me watch the NFL draft while she was giving birth to my first daughter. So that I give her a lot of credit there. So there's been a lot of sacrifices across the board, and yes, I've definitely been unappreciated as a Cowboys fan, but I am very optimistic that things will turn around. I do, I'm stealing, I guess, a Philly phrase, but trust the process. I know it's been a long process, but I guess I always give Dallas the benefit of the doubt. They're my team. They're my my ride or die in the NFL. So, and I'll just say this: as an upstate New Yorker, it's tough to watch the Buffalo Bills do what they're doing while I'm sitting here watching the Cowboys look terrible.
Jess, are you team anger? Are you team frustration? Are you in the pity party with those of us? Like we have snacks in the pity party, just to be clear.
You know what? No, I'm not in the pity party. And here's why. I was in the pity party all day yesterday, and that was quite enough for me. I had one whole day of pity party, and then I moved on because it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. It already happened. It's over. Now all you can do is move forward going into Cincinnati. And I'm kind of just tired of talking about this game. We saw what happened. I was there. I saw it in person. I'm tired of reliving it, to be quite honest. And here's the thing. I think as Cowboys fans, we all have sacrificed a lot, to reemphasize your point. And we've all given up a lot. I mean, yeah, you were talking about you've canceled dates. I have rejected guys for not being Cowboys fans. I mean, I'm hardcore. Like if you're a Philly fan, it's an automatic no. Like you're not even getting the time of day over here. But like my point is we've all sacrificed something for our team. And that's what makes football football. If we didn't enjoy the Cowboys, we wouldn't be doing this right now. We wouldn't be tweeting about them. We wouldn't be talking about them. We wouldn't be doing podcasts. So with this amount of love you have, of course, there's going to be an amount of frustration and anger that comes when things like Sunday happen. It's not the end of the world, though. We're going to move on to week 2. And you know what? If we see the same thing we saw on Sunday that we did against the Bucs, then we're going to redo this conversation the week after that, and we're going to be frustrated again. But it's part of the cycle, and it's part of the cycle that I think as Cowboys fans we should be used to already. So I'm done being pessimistic about it. It's frustrating, but at the end of the day, like we have another game. We have a whole season. This is only week 1. This is usually my like week 10 frustration. And if I were to take that out this week, then I can't even imagine the stress levels I would feel come week 10. So instead, I'm just going to say I'm going to be optimistic going forward.
Brandon, you raised your hand.
Yeah, Jess, I just caught something there. Are you? Did you mention Bill Belichick? We're on to Cincinnati. I just wanted to point that out. Nice. I thought you said that.
Nicely done.
Look. Hey, I'm gonna award you negative points. You watch it.
Oh,
wow. Howman, I will often scroll to your timeline when I think something because you're one of the more reasonable people on Twitter. We have not gotten to a tweet of yours, so I'm excited to. But you usually. You may have a take or something that people disagree with, but it's usually founded in logic. That's what I appreciate. What's your thought here? Are you with LP? Are you finding the local bar to go watch the game at, or and therefore feel like this team doesn't appreciate you? Do you feel like they've gone about it in the wrong way? Do you feel like they're just trying to sell some sort of thing here? Like where do you fall?
I mean, listening to everybody else talk about this, the thought that I had was this is just the difference between the Cowboys and all the other teams with us having the owner as the general manager.
Knew it. Well done. Keep going.
And, because in the NFL, the owner, their job is to make money. The GM's job is to win games so they don't get fired. What happens when the owner is also the GM and they don't have to worry about getting fired? They have no incentive to try and win games. They have no incentive to actually take all the measures that Les Snead is doing with the Rams, that the Bills are doing up in Buffalo, to build a roster that can actually compete and win at the highest levels. And the Cowboys are the biggest brand in all of sports. They're always the most valuable franchise. The money's not going to go away. It's not like we're talking about the Jaguars where, fans will eventually lose interest if they're bad enough for so long, which they have been recently. The Cowboys, they could go 3 Dave Campo years and they would still, you hire Bill Parcells and people are back in the stadium. There's always going to be people showing up. So I don't think that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, I don't think they care about making fans feel appreciated. I don't think they care necessarily about doing what it actually takes to build a winning roster. They just want to win enough to get you hooked, get you into the stadium, and keep the money flowing.
LP, this was your tweet, so we'll finish with you. First of all, Cadre fan wants you to have more of a chance to talk, so they want to get to know you better. So after your answer to this question, please let us know your favorite movie. Do you feel like the Cowboys do consider themselves a bit of a gateway to fandom, right? Like, hey, you show up, you take one bite of us, and you're sold. Like, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to worry about a return on investment because you're going to be here no matter what, to Howman's point.
That was me as a kid. I mean, I can't speak for the modern person today because, I'm 90s to the death, and Tony knows me. I'm 90s all the way through. So my team.
Yeah, the group chat. We went over that. We're all excluded.
Yeah.
Thank you, LP.
Yeah. Sorry, but it's all right. But that's just how me. Like I was brought into being a Cowboys fan, and that's all that I've ever known in my life. I've never team hopped. So I saw these guys as superheroes. Like I'm sitting there watching X-Men. I watched the Cowboys, and like y'all are like a juggernaut, which they were back then, right? So for me, it's like I got brought into that. So I will never see anything different. But I'm hooked. I'm hooked. They're my addiction. I can't speak for every kid coming up. Every kid coming up wants to like a Patrick Mahomes or somebody else. And they may not stick with Patrick Mahomes, but I stuck with my guys.
You were juggernauts back then.
So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But to that point, my favorite movie is actually Superbad. So.
Oh, well done. What
was that was a curveball because you mentioned X-Men, and I really expected that. That was
if you had gone X-Men,
I'm not a movie
the answer is
person,
X2.
though.
We were Juggernaut, and now we're like Fat Thor.
I was referring to the cartoon, but y'all good.
Jess, that was a miss. That whatever. Anyway, okay, all right. We have 3 more tweets to get to, and nobody cheat with like process of elimination and start doing mental math. Let's keep this fun. Next part of who tweeted that. Here we go. This was one I had to shorten as well. If there is no call made tomorrow, this was Sunday night, to improve the QB position over what we have right now without Dak, I'll officially declare that these owners truly, all capitalized, don't care about the fans. Brandon.
Howman.
Okay. Jess.
Howman.
Tony, you raised your hand, I think.
My fellow Paisan.
That's Sturch. Just everybody's aware. LP, do you have a guess?
I think it's Sturch.
Danny.
It's negative, so you got a little bit of Howman there, but it's actually, Howman's a little more reasonable than this, so I'm going to have to go with Sturch.
I haven't haven't let the commenters guess a lot. I haven't gotten there in time. Ethan says Sturch. Johnny Boy says this is Sturch. AJ says everyone probably said that. So that being said, I had to edit this and make it family friendly for the show because there was a curse word in it. So that is a big indication too. This was a tweet from Dave Sturchio. Everybody follow him on Twitter at Dave Sturchio. Sturch. And actually, I responded to this tweet in the moment. And I don't know if you guys were recording 1st and 10 or if you had just finished or whatever. That did not happen, right? Like, and we don't know if a call was made. We don't know whatever that case may be. But the Cowboys have dug in on Cooper Rush. So are you ready to officially declare, in your words, that these owners truly don't care and also don't give something about the fans?
Yeah. I said it. And listen, when I tweet things on Sundays, just tread lightly, be careful. I watch them and read them at your own risk. But this one was, very close, near and dear to me, because we saw what the Cowboys have done the entire offseason with addressing needs, right? They just didn't, right? So I'm thinking to myself, well, they made a reactionary, is that the word? Reactionary move when they signed Jason Peters because of the Tyron Smith injury. And then we all said, including yourself, RJ, well, we knew we needed this. Why didn't we do this earlier? Blah, 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 right? So Dak Prescott's one bad hit away from being out again, right? We knew this already. So in the event that it did happen, what would we be left with? And this is what we're left with. This is what they chose to do. Now, do I want, like everybody else, well, I don't even know how Cowboys fans feel about Cooper Rush, but do we want a Nick Foles type moment? Yeah, we do. Of course we do. We want a guy to come in there, sling the ball around 350 yards plus against Cincinnati, and then bang, we're like, I think we'll be okay, right? But go back to the history of the Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback position. It's never been good, ever. Like, the best we've ever had was Dak Prescott, and we didn't even know what we had in him until he played. You know what I mean? Like, he wound up being really good. So for the Cowboys not to address this and say, like, yep, we're good, and I truly hope they're not looking at the Minnesota game like, oh, he's more than well capable of winning a game. The fact that they didn't address it with a name, just a name, doesn't matter who it was. It could have been the fifth stringer of the Jets. I wouldn't care. But the fact that they didn't do anything and they're staying complacent, you got to just assume that, you know what? They don't give a damn. They really don't.
LP, I'll come back to you. Do you think, there's a little bit of hindsight here, but Cooper Rush winning the Vikings game serves to the detriment of the current Cowboys? Because it allows the team to say and believe in, well, Cooper went out. He won. He threw a game-winning touchdown to Amari, who we traded away. I mean, like would you... This is a stupid question, but like, would you undo that win if it forced them to be reactionary? Because to Sturch's point, that is their only MO is to be reactionary. But the same way, and I tweeted this earlier today, the same way before last year's training camp, they said, well, Garrett Gilbert, he was okay against the Steelers in 2020. He played all right. Like we don't have to go get somebody else here. Like, we're totally fine. They did that exact same thing with Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I would definitely have sacrificed.
That was LP's question, Sturch.
Sorry.
Wow. Oh my gosh, how rude of you. LP,
I am very rude.
Commenters are asking
there was
for
more
LP.
of a delay. There was more of a delay, so I thought it was being thrown back to me. My fault. Go ahead, LP.
It looked like it. But no, I agree with you. I think that win on Halloween says a lot for them, and I think that was their vindication that, okay, we got this guy. And they've steadfast, right? We've had, even in camp, we had him, we had Will Greer, Danucci still. So they never were serious about it. It was never going to happen. Like, that was what they intended to do. Now, I know I kind of mused over it, like the names that might be available. You know, I don't believe they're going to do a Garoppolo, but maybe a Bridgewater.
Just quick question, LP, for everyone. Yep. Raise your hand, and who's in favor of trading for Jimmy Garoppolo? Okay, so we're all in agreement that this is a bad idea. Okay, continue, LP.
Yeah, I mean, but the more sensible names I think would be maybe if you want to go for a Teddy Bridgewater out of Miami, even if you want to reach back for Andy Dalton, because there's two quarterbacks on the Saints. So Andy is like the third wheel, literally. So you got Andy as well. They could always run that back with Andy Dalton and feel comfortable doing it. So I don't think they wouldn't even try it. I mean, Nick Foles, no, but I feel like those two names might resonate with them. But I will say this, though. If it happened, Dak would have to be out a lot longer than we think. So even like 2015, for example, they didn't do it until their backs were against the wall, until they were like halfway down in the dirt, in the cement, which they were. So you'd have to see them make that forcible move for like a Matt Castle type of trade.
Right. Howman, along the lines of reaction or reacting to things and, you know, things serving to their detriment. I've said many different times on many different shows, I loved the Andy Dalton signing in 2020. That's the archetype of backup quarterback. The veteran who's been there, who's still somewhat young, who has started games. That's who you want. What Washington has in Taylor Heineke, what Philly has in Gardner Minshew, what Buffalo had a year ago in Mitchell Trubisky. If you have to rely on them for the window the Cowboys are in, that's, I think, the best way to go about it. But Howman, do we feel like because 2020 was what it was, obviously in a lot of senses, but for the Cowboys specifically, they said, well, that sucked. That was stupid. Like, we can't do that ever again because that didn't work out, when that isn't the proper or fair way to evaluate what that was, you know, for this specific team that year.
I think it definitely could have played a part, and I would actually agree with that sentiment to a degree.
10 points for Howman. Go ahead.
But I mean, I just think, like, to your point, you know, we signed Andy Dalton that year, and everybody said this is a great backup quarterback signing because he's been a starter his whole career up to that point. Dak goes down, Andy has to come in, and they, you know, it didn't change a thing. They were still lost without Dak Prescott in there. And I think that it just kind of goes to show that, you know, we saw last year with Cooper Rush, in the NFL, you can win a game or maybe two games with a backup. You can scheme around the talent that they have or the lack thereof to some degree. But when you have to go several games without them or even the rest of the season, it's not really going to matter so much who you have if you're losing a top-tier quarterback like Dak Prescott is. So for me, I think Cooper Rush has been in the offense for a while now. He played last year and he won. I'm not saying that's going to happen next week at Cincinnati or the week after, but they're at least comfortable that he knows the offense, that he can execute, and there's that possibility of it. I don't really see how much more value you're going to add, even if you did get a Jimmy Garoppolo, because the 49ers went to the conference championship game last year, and then they benched him, and they were trying to get rid of him, and nobody wanted to trade for him. So even the 49ers didn't want him, and he took him a game away from the Super Bowl. So I don't see how we're going to get any kind of significant increase in value from any other quarterback.
Sturch.
Can I just say one thing? If all right, we all obviously cover the Cowboys, right? But if you polled the audience of non-Cowboys fans, right, and you polled the audience of all the backup quarterbacks in the NFL, I feel like a lot of them and the majority of the other fan base would say, who? When we say Cooper Rush. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say guys like, Teddy Bridgewater or guys that have been established, you know where they've been, you know what they've done. Are we the only team in the NFL with a who behind us? Because I mean, that's what it seems like. I could be completely wrong.
The Who's are a race of people in the Grinch, just to be very clear.
Well aware.
I mean, let's just be fair to things. Danny, if there's one thing that you are negative about, it's Mike McCarthy, and I say that in a fair way. Like you are the most anti Mike McCarthy person. I don't know if you rolled your eyes there for effect, but that being said, Danny, there is an argument to, just being straight up about this season and saying like, hey, McCarthy's probably getting fired at the end of this thing. Like there may be some sort of like trade involved for Sean Payton, like whatever. Like I do not want to be like, the argument would be, I don't want to be a part of like giving up any kind of resources for any backup quarterback when this season looks so left-footed right now. So in that sense, do you feel like, hey, like at this point, like, they gotta pop your shoulder back into place. Like here's a piece of leather, just bite on it and just endure this pain that is this season.
You've asked a lot there, and so first off, listening to you guys talk about how long you guys been fans and stuff, it's cute.
Come back. Okay.
But so I remember.
I knew that was coming. I just could feel that coming.
I remember 40 years ago when I actually cried during the catch, when I was a kid watching the Cowboys. And in fact, my family's probably watching right now. They were there to consult me. And so I just quick shout out to my California family.
Shout out to the Phantoms. They're legal.
Yeah, they're 49er fans, but you can't choose your family. But but I want to say
during the catch, the 49ers fans.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's rough.
I didn't eat that night. They thought something was wrong with me, but little did they know I was.
All right, Dan. The question: should the Cowboys trade something for a backup quarterback?
When I was a little boy.
No, they shouldn't.
We have two more tweets to get to, people. All right, yes. Come on, Danny.
So the thing about you guys, I keep hearing this, and I keep thinking of that James Franco meme is like first time where it's like this is how Jerry Jones is. Nobody should be surprised by it. This is the team this is the hand we're dealt. We got to live with it. Stop being surprised. They really believe that he's the best solution, and he may be, he may not. I don't know, but that's what they believe. That's who they're going with. They're not trading for anybody. It's going to be Cooper Rush. I've never been a Cooper Rush fan. He was fine when he played last year, and he'll probably be fine this year. And it won't be anything spectacular, but neither are most of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. So, I guess I don't really care that much about this situation. I just feel like this is just how it is. And I think you guys should all just kind of embrace it and get used to it.
Tony, last one, and then we'll move on to the next tweet. Again, people say like all they care about is money. There is an alternative that like maybe they're just this bad at it. Like, do you believe that to be the case? That they're like, why get a who? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, what would that solve? You know what I mean? Like, we have a franchise quarterback.
I mean, they're definitely stuck in their ways. And I think up until maybe last year into this offseason, I thought, the intentions were pure. And maybe that was just naive of me. But now I think it might be a little bit of stupidity. Like they think that their guys are the best guys. And then every year when the rosters get cut down, none of our guys get picked up on practice squad. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe the talent isn't what we think it is. And then, Cooper Rush is, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Will Grier beating out Cooper Rush until he didn't. And I think injury played a part in that. So, I mean, there's a different timeline where we're getting ready for Will Grier to sling this thing on Sunday. So who knows?
Okay, we have 2 more tweets left in case anybody is forgotten. It is our bottom 2 for your help, LP. David Howman on the left and Brandon Clements on the right are the only people whose tweets have not been read yet. I have already determined which one I'm putting on screen. So does anybody have a guess which one, like without seeing the tweet, it's going to be?
I feel like it's going to be Howman just because we've been guessing Howman forever. So you might as well just do it.
Okay, at least you had some logic. I mean, that was, it's weird logic, but it is some logic nonetheless. All right, shout out to Sturch for the tweet that we just ripped through. This was during the game. This game could easily be 28-3 Bucks at the half, an important score for NFC South teams. If it wasn't for the play of the @Dallas Cowboys, that's how you know I took it from Twitter, defense. Who do we think tweeted this?
This is Howman.
Okay, Danny.
No logic behind
Howman.
Danny, there's an audio element to the show, so like
Oh,
nodding is not enough. I think Sturch. Tony. Sorry, Tony.
I'll go with Brandon.
LP.
Brandon, and may I say how hard this game is, man? This game is incredibly hard. Twitter is hard enough when you change your avatars, man. This is even worse.
You're you know what? The roundtables aren't for losers. This is for winners and champions. And no, I'm saying you're living up to the hype. That's what I'm saying. Other people don't get to sit here because they're the losers. And anyway, Jess, is this a Howman or a Brandon tweet?
I'm gonna go Brandon because I said Howman last time and I was wrong, and I just feel like I got it wrong again.
Who did you guess, LP? Did you guess?
I didn't say it, but I think it's Brandon too, though.
Okay, so we have 3 votes for Brandon, 2 votes for Howman. It is Brandon on Twitter at Icebreaker21. Brandon, to kind of flip things back positive here, you were shouting out the Cowboys defense, basically saying like, look, this is bad, but it could be worse. So do you feel that way? Which is true. Micah Parsons and the Cowboys defense, a lot of third down stops, a lot of stops near the goal line. They do deserve credit. And if this team is going to be any kind of good, it would seem to be off of their heels.
100%. I mean, the defense, I thought there was a top tier elite defensive performance. They made, if you look at the QBR numbers, if you guys follow that, I think Tom Brady was just a little over 50, and that's average for the NFL quarterback. And last time I checked, Tom Brady's still the GOAT. So if you can hold Tom Brady to an average QBR, and he what did he throw? 1 touchdown. It was not that great of a performance from Tom Brady. And by the way, we have a unicorn named Micah Parsons getting 2 sacks in the game. And by the way, Donovan Wilson had a nice pick. So the defense is the reason why this score doesn't really tell the whole story of how bad the Cowboys got whooped on Sunday night. It was a tough watch on the East Coast because some of us have to work in the morning. So that was not something I wanted to do. But at least the defense came out and balled out and made Tom Brady look average, which is very hard to do.
Jess, do you agree? Or Sturch, I guess. Jess, do you agree? Do you feel like the Cowboys defense helped put lipstick on the pig to a certain degree?
Look, I think without the defense, this game would have been over much sooner than it actually was. I think the defense played and did exactly what they needed to do. Tank went on his post-game interview to say, hey, our job is to make sure that we're not letting the other team get in the end zone and then giving our offense a chance to score. They did that to an extent, right? You could see the fatigue come the third quarter because they basically played the entire game. So naturally you're going to see them get tired. You're going to see that fatigue coming, but I think they did a great job. I think they were perfect. No, I don't think they played a perfect game, but they played as hard as they could. And of course, Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. We don't even have to discuss Micah Parsons. We didn't even have to discuss it, but I will say something I noticed being at the game is and I talked about this earlier on the other podcast, is it looked like a lot of players got too fatigued come fourth quarter and kind of stopped. You saw a lot of fundamental football going out the window, a lot of sloppy things, a lot of missed tackles, all these things. Micah was really the only one I noticed that played all the way through that game. So I just want to make sure we give him the shout out for that.
Jess, real quick. Jess, I have a question for you. Were you
for Jess or somebody else?
Were you at the game by any chance? Were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
All right.
Sturch, you know what?
He's getting
Sturch.
tense. This
Sturch,
getting tense.
I'm gonna private message you because I have some nice words for you that I'm not gonna say on here.
All right, let's focus the negative energy in one direction.
Yes,
let's get back on track.
Negative energy.
Tony, last one on this subject, and then we'll get to I wonder whose tweet. Caleb Swanson says, I mean, yes, it's exciting watching the defense, but it almost makes this year a little worse. I've waited so long for a good defense just to see a pitiful offense. Do you feel that way, Tony? Like the Cowboys have not robbed Peter to pay Paul or whatever the expression is, but like it's like it's just like stop, like just be good all at once. Like why? Like it actually is more torturous in one way.
Yeah, I mean, but we've been following along all offseason. We kind of knew this is the way it was going. We knew Michael Gallup wasn't going to be here for at least, probably the first month of the season. We knew that it was a lot put on the shoulders of CeeDee Lamb to be that guy. And, through one game, that was a challenge for him. This offensive line is slowly crumbled in front of our eyes, how they handle La'el Collins. But the one thing that we could hang our hat on was the fact that this defense looked like it was raring to go. Even with losing Randy Gregory, this defense looked like it had some components and parts. So, yeah, it's tough to not see it put together, but most teams that put it together end up hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. And I don't know if any of us had – we have aspirations. I don't know if we had realistic possibilities of that. But so, here we are 0-1, and we're just glad that the defense held them to 20 points or whatever.
Brandon is on Twitter at Icebreaker21, just so everyone is aware. Okay, final tweet is obviously David Howman's. We're going to get there.
Main event.
Process of elimination. But to keep the guessing spirit alive, we're going to go clockwise order and guess whether you think it is a positive or a negative tweet about the Dallas Cowboys. So, Tony, you're up first.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say.
Tony, you have headphones on, and it was literally like a 5-second long statement. You were just talking.
Tony, positive or negative tweet out of Howman?
Yeah, do you think it's a
it's gonna be positive when it shouldn't be.
What?
You'll read it and you'll see.
That's
it.
Deep.
Tony,
That's
that was
deep.
supposed to be like a 2-second long experience that turned into like 30. Okay, Danny, is it a positive or negative tweet from David Howman here?
The dog on the show.
I'm playing the odds. It's negative.
Okay, Sturch.
I'm gonna go with positive, man.
Jess and her pup.
Yeah, Toby. The other one, Witt's over there in his crate. He's asleep. But I'm gonna go negative.
Brandon.
Positively logical.
Okay, LP. Is it a positive or negative tweet from David Howman here?
During the game or after the game?
This was actually earlier today on Tuesday.
Can you use it in a sentence?
It's positive. It's positive.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know, but I think it's negative. This was a response, I think, to Mike White, our friend on Twitter at Not To Be Trust.
That's negative.
Howman said the Cowboys are like if Madden was a football team. Howman, could you explain this tweet and what you mean by it? By the way, Howman on Twitter at _DH44_.
Yeah. So the thought behind that tweet was how, with Madden, obviously I'm referring to the football game, not the coach. Every single year, Madden releases a new video game, and I feel like the complaint is always absolutely nothing's changed except for the roster. There's nothing exciting about it, but yet people still go out and they buy the game. They talk themselves into, this game is, they have a different engine for the graphics. They added tattoos to the players. It's so much better. And then they get it and they're like, wow, this kind of sucks, actually. I want my money back. And it just kind of feels like that's where we are with the Cowboys. There's different players every year, and we talk ourselves into, it'll be different for this reason or that reason. And then,
bro, this is gold.
This was really deep, Howman.
Yeah.
I thought this is what you meant, but I didn't know, and that's why I wanted to save it for last. I'm one of the losers. I buy Madden every year because I love football. But to your point, Howman, they actually sometimes don't even change everything. Like they have in different years not changed like the banners on the practice field. Like on Madden 23, it'll still say like Madden 22, like things like that. They just basically copy paste. And to your point, like they'll add, this year's rookie class and put team or players on new teams. This is insightful, LP. Do you think like Howman went deep here? I had already picked who the winner was, but I might have to reevaluate, LP.
I mean, I defer. That's a great tweet. I hate Madden, so he's right.
Sturch, you were really impressed, and you called out Howman a lot for different tweets tonight. So what are your thoughts on his actual tweet?
I think this is gold. I feel like you should, I don't know if you have any tattoos, but I think this should be one of them, just put it on your arm or something and wrap it around like barbed wire or something like that. But I think this would be a good, logical, something kind of ink to put on your body, or maybe the back of a jersey. I don't know. This is like really, really good though. And I'll be dead honest. There was no bigger Madden head than me. I haven't bought the game in 2 years. So it's like, well, maybe because I've been like a lot busier, but like, I just haven't got around to buying it. So I wouldn't even know if you popped in Madden 20, what year are we on? 23? 23?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if we were on Madden 23.
Don't act like you didn't know that, Sturch. You knew it was Madden 23.
No, I swear to God, I didn't know. But if I would have popped in Madden 23 or Madden 21 and you didn't tell me anything, could I have told the difference?
Danny,
not, right?
I know you have loved all of our negative energy here tonight. So do you agree that this is a great tweet from Howman?
I got to be honest. I started just kind of tuning him out when he started talking, and it's nothing to do with David. I just like I don't play Madden.
Wow.
So, I don't play video games.
Okay, let me try it again. Let me rephrase
question.
The Cowboys are like if Fast and the Furious was a football team. That's basically what Howman tweeted.
Oh, geez.
Whoa! You put respect on the Rock's name right now. He changed the game. Are you kidding? Come on.
No. Sturch, we said this last week's roundtable before we started. Any guy that likes WWE, red flag. So. Red flag for bringing up WWE.
No.
You got a tough panel for that.
Time out. I'm a former professional wrestler. Do not. I put my blood, sweat,
double red flags
into this garbage.
Double red flags.
A lot of personal attacks happening here. Tony, do you think this tweet was sound from David Howman?
This is, to me, the textbook David Howman tweet. I mean, it just... This is, I mean, if you asked me to show a Howman tweet and be like, this would probably be the one. This is ideal. So right on the money like usual. Brandon, your thoughts on Howman's tweet?
I mean, he is spot on. I mean, it was a negative, thoughtful. The way he presented it, it was thoughtful and it was a little bit of negative, just a little bit to get you thinking. So Howman, your tweets are always on fire, dude.
It was really calm too, like his delivery. Like he just destroyed the team in this like super chill, calm way.
I've never actually talked to Howman outside of the roundtables and or Twitter, but I can't even imagine a scenario where Howman's yelling at anybody. Like
right, except for Leighton Brandash.
That's true. He did not have Leighton on his final 53-man roster.
But he still didn't yell it. Like he was just like, hey, no, Leighton's not on
from the rooftops.
Oh, okay.
Jess, who should win the roundtable, Jess?
Look, I'm gonna be nice here, and I'm not gonna say Sturch because he has double red flags. But I am gonna say LP. I'm gonna say LP because he held his own tonight, coming in late. We'll give you a pass, but you came in, you held your own, and you made really great points that I think a lot of us and a lot of the listeners appreciated. So that's hard to do for your first roundtable, and you killed it.
I have the score, but I like this idea of everybody picking a winner and therefore like instigating more drama. Sturch, who should win?
I'm going to go with the Rook on this one. I'm going to go with LP as well.
Brandon. There's a lot of pressure now because now if you don't say LP, you're the bad guy. Like that's what Jess and
No.
It's not gonna be Jess because she dissed on WWE. So
I don't take it back. I don't apologize.
That's all right. I mean, just because WWE is part of this right now, I'm gonna go Sturch.
Hey,
Danny.
Man.
No, I'm taking LP too because everybody else tweeted stupid things.
Tony, who should win the roundtable?
If you're, I know you're keeping score. That would be back-to-back rookies winning it, and I got to give it to LP.
That's right. Brandon Laurie won last week. Again, you can hear him on today's episode of the Writer's Block. Howman, who really kind of stole the show at the very end. Who should win?
Yeah, I gotta go with LP coming in here as the rookie and just really stealing the show.
LP, look, there's a lot of positive energy building towards you right now, but who do you think should win? Because whoever you say, because you're kind of the consensus pick, it means a lot to that person that you picked them.
Give the Howman. That mad tweet was serious. I hate
Ethan said LP. Just so everybody's
bring
aware.
up Ethan's next one, please.
Ethan said we're all winners.
Thank you.
Is what Ethan added.
Except Sturch.
Johnny, Johnny Boy added LP put his dating history out there. Give it to LP. It was an extreme moment of vulnerability, LP. So that's a great. Actually, you didn't do that. I did that. Not to take away your credit, but I picked the tweet. So if anyone's the real winner, it's me in that sense. Ron the Don says LP for sure. I will tell you all. We have tied for last place. This is not a joke. Jess and Sturch at 29 points.
High five.
Yeah.
Next up, tied for third place, we have with 30 points each, Tony, Danny, and Brandon. So better effort than these two people over here. Next up, we had I had LP as the winner with 31 points, and then everybody threw all sorts of love to Howman, which gave him 32 points to make him the winner. But then everybody came back and awarded LP all these points with 33 points. Tonight's winner on the roundtable. First time ever showing up. I hadn't prepared the graphic in time, so I'm stalling while I do that. LP, congratulations. Well done. Seriously, LP, phenomenal appearance. You showed up late. You won it all. What do you have to say for yourself? Who do you want to thank?
I mean, y'all, man. I can thank you guys for this. By the way, I know I was late. My bad. I was nervous. Seriously, I was nervous. I'm in big spotlight, brand new people. So thank you for making me feel welcome. And thank y'all, man. Thank everybody for real. Thank you.
Good job, LP.
That's what I said. Danny, you had your hand raised. Do you want to say who had the most stupid tweet, Danny? Or what is your...
No, I just wanted to honor Dr. Seuss earlier. I had a little message I wanted to give to you, just because a little ode to Mr. Mike McCarthy.
Okay,
so,
we're gonna end on this. So Tony, you're safe. Danny, go ahead.
So I do not like McCarthy, man. I do not like him. Dan, I am. I do not like him in a car. I do not like him at the Star. I do not like his casual strut. I do not like his monkey butt. I would not like him here nor there. So get that doofus out of here.
Wow.
The last words didn't rhyme, but okay.